That's just wild. Hello and welcome. We are here with Origin Spotlight. I am your host, B. Zelda, and we are back this week to talk about a few things, but most importantly, we are joined by a fantastic guest, Chris, who is going to talk to us today about GDEX and the partnership that you have with Origins. Now, I have 1,000 questions, but let's start with the beginning. Hello, Chris. How are you today?
I'm good, and I have at least 2 answers for you. So
good. Because I want you to simplify it as what's that expression? Explain it to me like I'm 5. What is GDEX?
Sure. So first off, thank you for having me again. I'm excited to be here, excited to do our partnership with Origins. I think it went extremely well last year, considering how crazy last year was from a convention standpoint. I think we had a lot of great content and it was good fun. So I'm glad to be back. But GDEX is a community-focused gaming expo and showcase. And it started as a way originally started as a way for Columbus devs to showcase what we were working on. But even before that, before we got our first year done, it ended up becoming what Ohio devs were working on. And even before our first show, we ended up getting people from 8 states and Canada coming to our show. So for our first year, what was going to just be 10 or 12 booth setups in a room ended up becoming a pretty cool show. And we've since grown it. This is year 10 for us. So this is our 10th anniversary. We're growing up.
That's fantastic. Well, happy 10th anniversary. That's
Thank
something
you.
to celebrate. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I always joke that like we're not event planners. Like we just started this to just get friends together and showcase games. And now we're getting bigger and bigger. And with our partnership with Origins, I believe we're the largest video game show of our kind in the Midwest. So that's kind of a weird place to be, but it's exciting.
That's huge.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Cool. So what is it like? What does a booth look like for you when you set up at Origins? Like what can we come to expect?
Yeah, so the GDEX booth is going to be a combination between game developers who have products on the market, and that can range from smaller indie devs to larger developers. Now, again, this is a weird kind of COVID year. Mm-hmm. So some of our larger partners like PlayStation and Xbox are they're not sure if they're doing shows again this year. So, but normally we would kind of range from smaller shows up to, we've had, again, PlayStation's been there before, Xbox has been there before, companies like that. But we've got a whole variety of different types of games, different genres. We'll have a VR section, which is usually a good time. And then we also have our ICE section. Oh, my cat's about to join us, which is ISE, and that stands for Independent, Student, and Experimental. And we started that because we go to all these shows like PAX and GDC, and we'll go to like Indie PopCon and stuff. And we wanted to make a affordable option for students and hobbyists and people who are like making cool stuff. Yeah. But they weren't sure if they could do a large show, or maybe they were a little intimidated, So our ICE section, we usually have about 15 to 20 of those setups. And the funny thing is our ICE section is actually getting games that are so good. We're like, why are you not in a normal booth, But it is really cool to see them start out at this small table, mm-hmm. and then they learn from everyone around them. And the next year they get like a 10 by 10 and they learn from everyone around them. And then we've had people in our GDEX family that we've actually seen at PAX. So they started out as a small show, then they grew at GDEX, then they went to PAX. The last PAX that ran, PAX East, there were like 12 booths at PAX that had previously been a part of GDEX before. So it's really cool to see.
I'm so proud of them, and I don't even know
that
them.
Growth. Yeah. You might be seeing some cat tail go back and forth. Oh, there's a cat head right there.
Cat head. Well, thank you to this new additional guest. Come
here, sweetie. There she is.
Oh my goodness, a little cream cat. So what are you going to be bringing this year to Origins Game Fair? Like, what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, so the big thing I'm looking forward to, well, there's so many big things, but one of the big things that we're going to try to do is expand our GDEX Underworld section, which is our tournament free play area.
Okay.
So we started that 3 years ago, and just as a way to like let's do more like fighting games and just like little tournament stuff, So we did a Smash tournament, and then we actually had a game for I don't know if you've heard of Killer Queen. It's an arcade game.
Killer Queen, I'm not familiar. No.
Yeah, so it's yeah, you should look it up. It's a really cool game. You can see it on YouTube, but it started just like a couple people made this game. It's got this like 16-bit vibe to it. Mm-hmm. But it's these two giant arcade cabinets where you have multiple players on each cabinet, and the two link together. And it's this like B-based joust style game. So we held the Midwest tournament for the first GDEX Underworld, and that was really cool. And so every year we just try to grow it a little bit. And so this year we're probably going to do our Smash Brothers Ultimate tournaments again. Yes. We usually throw in a Mario Kart tournament because that's always fun.
It's a classic.
And then we might do some Street Fighter or like Tekken fighting tournaments. And then we always try to do fun stuff. So a couple years ago we did Beat Saber. I don't know if you've seen that game. It's a virtual reality game. So we did a Beat Saber tournament, which was a blast. People were on that thing all weekend long.
Yeah, I would be too.
Yeah. And then one of the cool things that we do, we're going to try to do again this year, again, depending on COVID, is we call them boss battles. And we try to bring in professional esports athletes. So professional like Smash Brothers or whatever. And you get to play for like 2 minutes or whatever around against them. So
like
I always say like,
1v1?
yeah. So
Oh my God.
imagine challenging like LeBron James to like a quick pickup game where it's just you and him. You know, you're probably going to get killed, but it's fun, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my God, that's so fantastic though.
Yeah, I did it. I did it once and I just got destroyed. I got
Yeah.
absolutely obliterated.
2 minutes? Did you like, were you gone in like 30 seconds?
I don't even think mine lasted 2 minutes. I think it was like I had enough time to sit down and like grab the controller. And he was like half paying attention. He was like having a conversation while he was playing against me. And I was like,
it hurts.
Yeah, Smash Brothers is not my game, I guess.
Oh gosh, that's so fantastic though. Like I'm so here for the tournament aspect. Like that just, it brings more people together. And Killer Queen, as I take a look at that, like that is up to 10 players. That's another fantastic way to get a bunch of people together playing a game. I really hope this is something that can get off the ground again.
Yeah, I would love to have the Killer Queen. And the cool thing is they're just a small group. Like, again, it's just a couple people are like, let's make a game. And they're like, all right, we should make a video game. And they're like, let's make a giant cabinet. And so like, why in the world would you make a giant 5v5 2 cabinet game? But they're like, let's do it. And yeah, these guys just started making these cabinets and it's such a great game. So I would love to be able to get that back. I'm talking to some of the people, but that one's a little challenging just because like the cabinets are so big. Just to get the cabinets moved it's an effort just to get them moved to the convention center and then taken away again.
Oh my goodness, that's so fair.
We also do streaming, so that's something we'd like to broadcast the fights. We do casting.
Oh my goodness!
So yeah, I think our tournament area is going to be it's going to be really cool this year. I'm excited about it. So that's the thing. That's our goal, is to grow our underworld section, and just when people come in, they just can get lost in playing around and, you know, have it be fun and accessible and just a good time.
Oh, that's fantastic. Cause like I don't know another word other than booth, but like that's such a word that doesn't encompass how much space this all takes up. Can you like?
Oh yeah. So yeah, imagine if we weren't with Origins this year as a partnership, we would have our own expo hall in the convention center. So like we would have our own booths and we would have our own underworld and whatever. So yeah, GDEX itself is large. So when we say like the GDEX area, it's going to be probably close to 100 exhibitors just on the show floor. And then the underworld section, I don't know, like I said, we'll probably have 12 to 15 gaming setups for the tournaments. And then we're talking about maybe bringing some arcades in. We have a partner that likes to bring in like the older style Super Nintendo games. And we'll do like write-in tournaments where you can like drop in. So like we've done Dr. Mario and stuff before, where if you have like a free 5 minutes, you can pop in, just do a session. And if you score, you can get your name on the high score. So throughout the weekend, the high score brackets are always changing, you know? So yeah, it's a large amount of space. Yeah, it's not. Booth is probably not the best way to think about it, but
not at all. I need a word that encompasses just like how much you have to offer. I also understand that you work with Extra Life to help raise funds. Yeah, that's like, even that itself is amazing.
Yeah. So since the first year, we have worked with a couple charity partners, and so I made it a point that every year we were going to have a charity partner. So we generally have 2. Extra Life tends to be one of them, and then the Able Gamers is the other one. So yeah, Extra Life, their crew is great. They were with us at Origins last year, and it's an awesome booth. They always have like one-of-a-kind items, and you can put in for raffles and stuff. Actually, well, you can't see it because I got to think. The chair I'm in right now is by Max Namek, which is a local Columbus gaming chair company. And they made some custom GDEX chairs for us a few years ago. And we put a couple of those in the raffle. We have raised in partnership with them lots of money. And so it's always a great time. And then we have, he wasn't able to come last year, but we've had a patient advocate who was a patient at Nationwide Children's Hospital who is like a teenager now, and he was coming to GDEX since I think he was like 8 or 9 or something. And so he tends to show up and say hi, and sometimes we'll have him, give a little talk or do some of the raffles or whatever. So it's really cool to have him out. And then Able Gamers is a great charity we've been working with as well that works to create opportunities for people with physical and mental disabilities.
Oh, that's
so
fantastic.
they worked with Microsoft when they created that Xbox controller. I don't know if you've seen that. It's
the one-handed one?
So it almost looks like a DJ kind of like spinning turntable,
Okay.
but it's this compartmentalized controller where you can add all these different components to it depending on what your physical needs might be. So you can
cool.
you can use eye trackers, you can use the breath machine, lots of different ways to modify it. So they worked with Microsoft to create this Xbox controller. But they've been a really big part of GDEX pretty much since the beginning. And then we've had other charities along the way to help out. So we've had some that benefit homeless, or we've had some that help benefit LGBT issues. So this year we have not announced our charity partners yet, but I think Extra Life will probably be in there. A lot of it too depends on what their schedule is, and things are just so crazy right now. It's hard to nail down. But I did see when we ended Origins last year and we helped put all their stuff in the car and we took it to their storage unit, we were just like poking around. I was like, man, there's a lot of cool crap in here. What can we get out for next year? So there should be some good stuff for the raffle.
That's marvelous. I have to ask, what was your favorite moment from Origins last year?
Oh, geez. For us, it's weird because, well, for me specifically, I've been going to Origins since I was like, I don't know, 18. So like 20 years ago or something. Oh, man, and I also have a board game design company. And so my friends will go and we'll play our games and showcase stuff. And so I'm used to going to Origins just as a thing. Mm-hmm. So to be able to be a part of the partnership last year, it was really cool, but it was also really weird because I was running around like crazy everywhere, like, making sure that things are moving.
Yep.
But there was a point where when you're on the floor, if you look up, there's some skyboxes along the expo hall, and our HQ, our headquarters, was in one of them. And there was my exhibitor coordinator, me, my volunteer coordinator were there, all of which have been here with GDEX since the beginning. And we just were kind of all looking at the floor, and I was like, you know what, like, just take a minute and take this in. Like, we helped create this from nothing. Like, this GDEX did not exist until we started it. We grew it from the ground up, from a little seedling, and just watching all these people have fun. And like my sister just had a baby, so she brought the baby, and she was like 1.5 at the time, and God. we got her a little stuffed Pikmin toy that somebody from the floor had created, and it was just cool to be able to see something that we've made bring joy to people, and to be able to work with Origins and create the graphics for the shirts, and so everybody's walking around with shirts that we designed and little pins that we helped design, and
that is so nice.
It was just really, it was just a cool experience to be able to see it be a thing. And it's important to remember too that like we're still in pandemic times here. So like in 2020, we decided to do GDEX, what we called GDEX TV. So we tore up our office and turned it into like a studio, and you can see what it looks like on YouTube. And we just had all of our friends like call in, and we streamed it for 2 days. And then last year, we had to work around COVID and try to make it safe for everybody. And we almost didn't do either. We almost didn't do 2020 because we were like, I think by the time we decided to do GDEX 2020, it was like July, early July, late June. And like we had the thing in fall. So we were like, we've only got like 2.5 months to pull this together.
Not a lot
and we're
of
like,
time.
should we? And we were like, should we do it? And the team was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And I'm glad we did. And the same thing for Origins GDEX last year, where it's like, we weren't sure what the rules were going to be, and we were making sure to follow safety considerations and everything. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, we decided to do it, and I'm glad we did, and everyone had a really good time. So, for me, that's sort of like a very specific, I think, moment that probably not a lot of Origins GDEX guest share, but that would be my favorite moment.
That's beautiful, though. Like 10 years is nothing to scoff at. You have worked so long. And like you said, you've brought such a community, so much joy, so many opportunities for people. You've just created a space where folks get to do what they enjoy most, and that is play games with other humans. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm really proud of what we've made. I'm really proud of our team. And one of the things that I try to, because, I make video games every day. Like, that's part of what my company does. So I go to some of these other shows, and when you're at something like GDC, which is the Game Developers Conference, you're just interacting with people and talking as if it's a normal thing. Everybody's making games. So everybody gets it. But when you're here in Columbus, Ohio, it's still kind of a niche industry. So I'll go to like an entrepreneur event, and people just have no idea what I do, right? And I wanted to create that sense of that video games, gaming, board gaming, these are legitimate industries done by dedicated, passionate people where, yes, you can make a living, you can make money on it. Like, these are real jobs. These are real vocations. And you can talk to people who get it. You don't have to explain to them what a certain game is or whatever. They just kind of understand it, And of course you have all your little inside terms and memes and stuff. So that was a big part of why we kept growing, is because I wanted people in this region, in the Midwest in particular, to realize like this can be a thing. This can be a real thing. And so far it keeps going. I don't know. People keep coming, and so we keep doing it.
I feel like if there was ever like a marker of like, there's been a significant change. Do you know when people are like, oh, what do you do for a living? And then you have to explain like video games, and you get a bit of a blank look. Now, when you tell people what you do for a living, are they more like, oh, like that's so cool, I understand that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I have a friend who's been in the games industry for 20 years, who's worked on like big games like Madden and AAA games. And he always jokes, he's like, if I'm ever in a place or on a plane and somebody asks what I do, he's like, I just tell them I'm an accountant. Because then most people don't have follow-up questions for accountants, right? So he just says he's an accountant, which I totally get. But I think we've transitioned from, if it's like a scale, we've transitioned from people just looking at you blank stared like, I don't know what you're talking about, to, oh, I understand that the video game industry is big. I don't understand how big it is, and I may not understand all of it, but like they understand that like it's a thing, right? Yes. And so it's definitely doesn't have like the just common knowledge of like movies and music, but it's getting there, which is also weird because the video game industry is bigger than the music industry and the movie industry combined times two.
Isn't that baffling? I think about that sometimes, and I don't understand how we're still where we are. But it's
gigantic. But one of the things I always tell the story so I go to Athens, Ohio, which has a great restaurant. I'll plug it, called Casa Nueva, amazing restaurant. And I was there once, just like a little day getaway. And there was these two younger people talking, and they were talking about games, this man and this woman. And they were just talking about video games like it was something that had been with them their entire life, right? Yes. And it always reminds me, it's going to sound a little weird, but it always reminds me of this Steve Jobs quote when they were first creating computers and they were trying to get everything going. And some of the engineers are like, yeah, this all works great, but there's a problem. And he's like, what's the problem? It's like, well, no one knows how to type. Like only computer nerds use computers, right? Nobody knew how to type. And Steve Jobs was like, don't worry about it. Death will take care of it. And that's how I kind of feel about video games. Like the younger generation just instinctively gets it. It's like iPads and stuff. Like 2-year-olds are using these touch devices. The younger generations just get it, and everyone else will either get on board or
die.
Die. Yeah, the inevitable, I suppose.
A little morbid, but yes, no, absolutely.
Yeah. But the more like the grander point here is that I think that there's a lot of opportunities for games as experiences. I firmly believe that video gaming is the next storytelling medium for humans. And I think that there's a quote I love about video games, which is that they're empathy generators. And I've always really liked that idea because I think we can create these really expansive, interesting personal experiences that we're just beginning to get started. The video game industry is only like 40 years old. It's compared to
Baby,
movies. Yeah, compared to movies, it's nothing. Compared to music and the spoken word, like it's nothing. It's nothing, you know? And we're just now beginning to see games created that are really using the medium in these like expressive, artistic, creative ways. And it's really exciting.
I mean, I'm sure with an expo like this, indie games that really speak to your heart, where you play like 2 hours of it and it's over and then you end up crying. That even like those solo kind of games where like your whole experience is just text and you're going through like looking at objects. There's been so much development in this. I'm really excited for what GDEX is going to bring to Origins, because like it's been such an expansive world, gaming, and it's something that I make a living off of. I'm still not at the point where I can tell people what I do for a living without getting a blank stare, because tabletop is, if you know what Dungeons and Dragons are, it's like, okay, I kind of got it. If you don't, I just tell people I do something on YouTube, and they're like, oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. When I talk about my board games, it's like, I'm going to give you the 20 seconds pitch and then I'm going to stop, because if I go into it, we're going to be here for another 15 minutes. Okay. I love video games. I love board games. I think they're amazing. And again, it's something that everybody doesn't have to get. I always, my comparison is the ballet. Like, I don't go to the ballet. I'm not really into the ballet, but I appreciate it as an art form and the athleticism that it takes to do it. And I can see people's passion when they're in it. And so just because I don't necessarily fully get it doesn't mean I don't appreciate the efforts that go into it. And I think if we can at least get gaming in general maybe to that stage for just the general population, I think we'll have made some really strong strides.
So I think what, GDEX is doing, what Origins Game Fair is doing, is all trending in the right direction for this goal that we have. And I really like that. I hope so. Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about when it comes to GDEX and Origins coming up this year?
So I know we're getting close to time here. So I think the main thing is we're going to try to bring some really exciting experiences. You mentioned indie games. Every year, the caliber of games, I say that we do a game awards, and I say this every year, so I'm like a broken record, but like they just get better and better. Like the indie studios, the just types of games, and like there's some wacky games. I don't know, one of our oldest sponsors who comes to GDEX Smiling Cat Entertainment, their previous game they made is called De-Hoarder, and it's just you running around a house like picking up trash and trying to clean it up as quick as you can. And there's like aliens and cats and there's all sorts of stuff. And their booth just looks like a hoarder. Like they just have stuff everywhere. It's just, you walk in and it's great. And there's a couple horror games that I don't do horror games, but people are always talking about them. Yeah, they're too scary. One's in virtual reality. I was like, nope.
My heart can't handle that.
But there's just always these really cool experiences that I think indie games, when we say indie, we're talking smaller studios. For those who maybe aren't familiar with the term.
Thank you.
And you've got the big kids who are making cutting edge stuff, are always like pushing, particularly when it comes to like net games and multiplayer games and stuff. But then you've got a whole bunch of smaller ones that are just, like you said, giving you those 2-3 hour experiences that for someone like me who's super busy is actually really nice, because I can kind of enjoy it. I don't always have time to get into a 40-hour game,
I love the idea, but cannot commit.
But yeah, there's great experiences. So we'll be, for those that are interested, just keep following us, www.thegdex.com. The GDEX is our handle on everything, so you can keep up to date. And we'll be releasing our exhibitor applications, our volunteer applications, and our speaking applications here within the next week or two. So just kind of keep up to date with that. I think that right now, though, that's the big things. If you follow us on social media and on the web, we'll be posting when our speakers and our exhibitors are going live. So I'm really excited about this year. And there's a couple larger groups that I'm trying to lasso in, because I think would be cool, but they haven't committed yet. So
fingers crossed for you.
Everyone's kind of waiting on they're like, well, we don't know what COVID's going to look like. I was like, I know, but I kind of got to make some decisions,
right.
But
we're approaching.
Yeah, and we're going to be. My background is public health, so like I am fully aware of making sure that we're safe, and I would not be doing GDEX if I didn't think we could do it in a safe manner. So, but yeah,
I really appreciate that. All right, Chris, I'm going to ask you. We're going to do just to kind of finish off this part of the show. We're going to do like a 60-second rapid fire question to just ask you some general questions about, like, you know, what you've done at cons, what your favorite games are. Tell me the first answer that comes to your head, and good luck. Are you ready?
Okay, I am ready. I'm strapped in.
All right. What is your favorite board game? Yes, you can plug your own.
My favorite board game is Villains, which is my own game. And in partnership. So my friend Jeremy is the main lead on that, but we are working on developing that. We've actually created a digital version of it. So I think Villains is one of the best games ever made. Just tuning our own horn. My favorite published game is probably either Twilight Imperium or Titan.
Okay, yeah, you play certain kind of games.
Yeah,
our producers
there's plenty of smaller
get
games
along with you.
Yeah, there's plenty of smaller games that I like too. I mean, can't go wrong with like Settlers. You know, that's always a blast. Agricola is a good time.
Those are all certain genres. All right, where was your first convention?
Oh, geez. You know,
convention.
Origins might have been my first gaming convention.
Aww.
Now that I think about it. Yeah, I think it was.
That's amazing. I love that. What does a dream panel look like for you?
Oh, geez. So again, I'm kind of lucky because since I run GDEX, I get to kind of create my dream panels every year.
Yeah.
So one of the great things about running my own show is I get to see people like streamers or YouTubers or developers, and I just kind of reach out to them and see if I can get them. Almost everybody we've gotten to GDEX has been somebody I liked and I just weaseled my way into talking to, or was like a friend of a friend. And so I love panels. And another thing, I didn't mention this, another thing we do is GDEX Perspectives, which I started many years ago as it's a panel or speaking series devoted to giving people in the gaming space a platform to come from a different perspective. Yes. So we've done Women in Gaming panel before. One of my friends did Gaming While Black, which was a great one. We've done things around LGBT. We did international game developer panel. So every year I try to find like what kind of talk, and it's one of our headlining talks. Can we bring someone interested who might be talking about the industry from an angle that we're not thinking about?
I love that. That whole thing is my dream panel. Just all of that. What would you? Oh gosh, do you ever cosplay at conventions?
I do not. I don't know. Cosplay has never really been my thing, but I'll never say no. So you may see me sometime.
I can only hope. What is the best footwear for a convention?
Oh, geez. So I've got my boots that I wear. But last year I wore my Vans with no sole, which after 5 days of walking around on hard cement ground was probably not the smartest decision. So I would recommend something with some good soles. Yeah. So I usually have my boots because they got good ankle support and good soles.
Okay. Something with good soles and good ankle support.
Yeah. Yeah.
Favorite carrying apparatus, fanny pack, suitcase, backpack?
Oh man, I wish I would have had a heads up on this. So I actually have a Super Nintendo backpack that looks like it's got the Super Nintendo controller, and I have like a bunch of pins on it that I've collected over the years. So that's so cool. I only really wear it when I go to gaming conventions, and so that's the thing I bring with me.
Everybody's got something like that. That's so perfect.
Yep. I got it at PAX. A friend bought it for me at PAX East, I don't know, 5 years ago. It's awesome. I love it.
All right. And final question. Do you sustain yourself on water or caffeine at a convention, or just like the hopes of getting everything accomplished?
So at a convention I'm running, it's mostly just sustained by pure adrenaline and just having to keep moving. I only have one caffeinated drink a day. So when I was in pre-med, I noticed I was getting migraines all the time. I was like, why am I getting migraines? And then I noticed I was drinking like 8 people's worth of caffeine in a given day. So now I've cut that down So I mostly drink water. And then sometimes we have some fun events at Origins and GDEX where I'll have some beers. Sometimes many beers, but mostly just conventions is just me running around like a crazy person for 5 days.
Pure adrenaline.
Pure adrenaline. Yep.
All right, Chris. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for being here at Origin Spotlight. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I couldn't attend last year because there were some border issues with Canada and the US because, COVID. So this is my year, and I cannot wait to hopefully see you in absolutely everything that GDEX has to offer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks again for having me. I'm excited to see you in real life. And yeah, I'm glad to be here and be a part of the partnership. And I guess before I go, just one last little thing I'll say. Here's my dog baby. She can say bye-bye.
Yes.
She's blending in.
Oh, we got to get you to stand out.
Yeah, she's been in my lap this whole time. So.
Oh my God, perfection. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Okay, coming up. Yes. So we have Adam.
Hi there. How you doing, B? I'm back. Hi, everybody.
You're back.
YouTube out in YouTube land. Hi. We just wanted to swing in here because we've been getting a lot of questions about badge registration, so I thought I'd duck in here at the end and we can chat a little bit about what's been going on with that. So do you.
Perfect. So I guess the first question I even have is, when has badge registration gone live, or is it going live?
So it's going live this weekend.
Weekend. Oof.
Yes,
okay.
Saturday.
Set your calendars. Set your alarms.
Yes. So we go live on Saturday, but we've been making some announcements. So we talked about stuff, badge prices and that kind of thing. So we had some questions about that sort of thing. So we wanted to address that because we have this platform and that we know that people are concerned. I know that we've upped the price this year, and people were wondering about that. I think there was a little bit of sticker shock because we had lowered the price last year because we had that scaled back show.
Yeah.
So it looks like a bigger badge price increase than it kind of is, because there was like that special discounted price last year for the scaled down show, but we really only raised it about $10 this year, and which could feel like a lot to some people, but we've included a lot more stuff too, right? Because people haven't really necessarily gotten a hold on our inclusive badge elements, right? Like that change.
So could you tell me, what is, so with the $10 extra that they're paying for the badge, what does that cover?
Yeah, so in previous years, we have had our Origins boardroom, right, where you could access thousands of games and just open play with your friends or set up a game and just have random people show up and have a great time. We've normally required a ribbon for that you paid $20 to get into that boardroom. Now that's included with your badge. So everybody gets access to the boardroom automatically as part of your badge. So that $20 fee, gone. Now it's just included in that badge. And the other thing that we've done is we've gone to an inclusive model for our badges. And what that means is that all of those events that we used to run that normally you charge like $2 or $4 or whatever, for about $2 for every hour is pretty much the sort of like baseline for our events that didn't have special upcharges. There weren't workshops or special things run by organizations that needed to pay staff or that sort of thing. So they have upcharges. Those still exist. But most events were just covered in that sort of baseline price. And those are now all included with your badge as well. So there's none of that anymore. The only thing that you pay for is those upcharges that the organization itself has added on to their event, usually to cover just their own costs. Like if you've got a workshop where you've got art supplies, you have to pay for those supplies that you're getting to make your piece of art that you're doing. There are still some events, some of the D&D events that have, big GMs and have large groups and that sort of thing. Some of those have minor upcharges as well, but all of those are coordinated through whatever gaming group or organization is running those. Those upcharges will still exist, but everything else is included in your badge now. So for somebody, if you played in 2 games, right, just 2 hours worth of gaming for each day for 5 days, that's $20 too. So I mean, just that would be
Yeah.
like $40 worth of stuff that you're now getting for that $10 increase.
That's
Um,
huge. That's fantastic. So there's so much more involved.
yeah.
And like the upcharges, that makes sense. Like that's its own category. If you're playing with like a celebrity DM, if there's supplies, like, you take that into consideration
Well,
because
and even some of
otherwise that's amazing. Go ahead.
yeah, even some of our long-standing groups that have been coming, they still include some upcharges because they have just this large infrastructure that they are setting up. Baldwin Games,
Yeah.
they run tons of games all week long, all through the convention. They've been coming for years. They have really well established GMs. They're not exactly celebrity GMs necessarily, though
Mm-hmm.
they uh, some of those groups do
Within
have.
their spaces, they are. Yeah,
Yeah,
I worked with Baldwin. Well, I work with
yeah,
them now, but
yeah. So yeah, Ballman, Lurking Fears, those places that are organized, they do usually have some upcharge for their events, but it's nominal and it's going to be less than it was in the past because again, that $2 per hour fee is still pulled out of that.
Mhm.
So you're actually even if you've been doing those events with the upcharges, those events are going to be cheaper too this year because it's just going to be whatever that upcharge
Ah.
was, whatever that base amount that we were sort of skimming in there to cover our costs, we just folded into the
Mhm.
badge price again as well. So that all just becomes one inclusive thing. So it's not 100% inclusive because of those upcharges, but apart from those, like those premium events, we're really including everything in that badge.
That's amazing. So yeah, so simply, the badges look more expensive this year. Objectively they are, but when you consider everything else that is coming with it, they are not. And I think that is fantastic and absolutely worth it.
Yeah, but slightly more expensive, better value. And you get
Yes,
to try.
yes.
And if you haven't tried out the boardroom before, if you haven't done an event before, this is a great opportunity to start doing those, to try them out. If you've been coming and you've just been walking the exhibit hall and just playing with your friends in hotel rooms or finding spaces on those open play areas, like this is a great opportunity to just go and you can walk into the boardroom one time, grab one game, try it out. You
Hmm.
know, walk over to an event and just give it a try, which is, I think, probably a good segue into the idea of generics, because we have been getting a lot of questions about those too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we aren't really doing generics anymore
And we're
because
talking
there's
about
no
general or generic admission, right?
well, so those generic tickets,
Or
like
generic tickets, excuse me.
people
Yes.
have been going to Origins for a long time know that we've had generic tickets. So you could you could pay $2 to get a generic ticket. And then if you showed up to an event and there was an open seat because somebody didn't show up or the event didn't fill,
I
you could
see.
hand your generics over to the GM and take the seat for
Okay.
whatever value, whatever cost it was for the event. So we don't have those anymore because we don't have any charge for those kinds of events anymore.
Hmm.
We are with your badge, you're going to get a handful of sort of reference tickets that are just for identification because our GMs get reimbursed based on people that are sitting there. Their perk benefits do, tie into how many people are participating in events and that kind of thing. And we
Yeah.
like to track how many people are participating in each event so that we know where to place GMs in the future for our own tracking and information purposes. It's important for making the event better to know how many people are going to what kind of event and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So
That
um
makes sense.
yeah, so we are going to have those. So you'll still like have that sort of setup where you can be wandering around, come to a table, there's an empty chair. Hey, can I participate? Yeah, absolutely. And then you hand them this little identifier. We'll be giving about 5 of those to everybody with their badge. And if you want more, you can always head back to registration and just ask for more if you've used them up. Like if that's the
Awesome.
way that you want to do um, events, then that's kind of the easiest way to do it. This does mean that if you want to do one of those events with an upcharge, you're gonna have to register at the event for one of those things if it opens up. You can't just use one of those identifiers with the upcharge. You have to actually go into the system and register for that event online. Now, you can do that day of at the event. Event registration will still be there. So you can just hop on your phone and go in and do it. You can run over to registration if you need to add yourself onto an event if you don't have a setup. Again, that requires you to get into one, but that's just the logistics of being able to have that cost reduction and stuff. We will honor generics from previous years. We've always rolled them over.
I was wondering. Okay.
If you have those leftover generic tickets, we're still going to honor those. Or if you have, your chips and that sort of thing, your $2 generic chips, we'll honor those still for this convention for those upcharge events. But that's about all that they're useful for, because we've got them kind of. It's because those other events are included in your badge, so you don't even need them anymore.
They're almost moot. Okay.
Yeah. But for those awesome premium events, do it.
Use them.
Not that our included events aren't awesome too. That's the interesting thing. There's so many amazing events at Origins. It's hard to really pin down one awesome thing. And this is the perfect year if you haven't really been the events person at Origins, because Origins is so many people at Origins say oh yeah, it's just such a great community event where I don't have to be doing any events. I don't have to be paying any additional stuff. I can go to the expo hall and I can have a great time. And I know a lot of people that do that. Some of our staff before they were on staff was like that. And yeah, and I'm the events guy. I love I overbook my convention every year. Every time I go to conventions, I always overbook. But if you're on that flip side, this is a great year to just try one thing, sign up for one thing, and give it a try, because it's included. So you might as well take advantage.
I hope this means so many people are going to be trying out new things this year. That is the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, it's a great time to try something that you have been questioning. Oh, I'm not sure if I'd like this game or not. I'm really there isn't necessarily going to be a demo at the exhibit hall or something, and you need to go do it. You see it there. This is great. This is a perfect year to do that, because we're doing this inclusive setup. So yeah, try a LARP for the first time. Try, you've never role played before, do a role playing game. You've never, played a CCG, do a learn to play draft game or something, or not draft, but a sealed deck kind of learn to play event. We got all kinds of stuff.
The options are endless. Yeah,
absolutely. Give it a try. Go to a seminar that you've never considered going to before. Go check out one of the areas. GDEX stuff is on there too. Go hang out with GDEX. All of this stuff is going to be included. You can register on both sides of the conventions, because it's all, your badge is all included in both of those.
Goodness. So that's so perfect.
Go check out the anime area. Go do try something new. Perfect year for that. So yeah.
Okay, no, I think that really handles kind of the bulk of the badge questions, because, we've talked about why there's a bit of a price increase. We've discussed everything that's involved in it. And we've talked about the generic tickets. And seriously, everybody, this is going to be the best opportunity to not only attend a fantastic convention, but to try out everything. Just all of it. Try all of it out. Play games that you've always just wanted to try out. Enter in tournaments. I've never entered in a tournament because I have a history of losing against my friends when it comes to Smash games. But with this badge, this might be my chance. This might be my time to shine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I hadn't done any sort of board game tournament stuff, and I went to a convention one time and did an Agricola tournament, and I of all things. Like, threw myself into an Agricola tournament. It was like a 12-person tournament or something, and
Oh my
it
gosh.
was really fun. I made it into the
Oh, that's
finals.
excellent. Nice.
Yeah, so
That's fantastic. And yeah, you can see how far you get to go. I don't know. I just think it's like a fantastic experience, and it's going to be an event that you don't want to miss.
absolutely. So yeah. Thanks for having me on so that I can clarify some things for everybody. We'll probably be doing updates like this as questions come in. We'll try and hop on. One of us will hop in here and
Yeah.
just do little updates here and there.
Perfect. And if my schedule is right, next week we are talking about badge registration.
Yeah, we're going to go through the whole system. Like, we
Yeah.
can't really show everybody that right now because it's not on and live. So if you're having any trouble, badges aren't going to sell out in 4 days. It's okay. You can. Event registration isn't open yet. Event registration won't be opening on Saturday, so you're not going to miss any of that. We'll cover event registration before that opens up. But that process of getting your badge, if you're having any trouble, tabletop.events has a pretty intuitive system on getting that all squared away. But if there's any questions about which kind of badge you should be getting, badge discounts, that kind of stuff, wait till Tuesday. We'll be back in here. I think Paul is going to be in here. Paul or Cynthia are going to be over here chatting with you about all the details for that. So
excellent. Well, until then, thank you everybody for joining. And don't forget to like, subscribe, to follow our content. You can follow us on social media. Origins Game Fair is available anywhere you look. Don't forget to read our website too, because that's where all of these details and all of this information can be found. Until then, thank you so much, everybody, and have a great day.